Hello and welcome to another episode of Boxing TV. I'm your host, professional boxing commentator Dan Hewitt. I'm actually really excited for today. It's been one hell of a day. It's been one hell of a day for me. I've had the honour of being at the British Boxing Board of Control Midlands Area Awards. I've met some fantastic people, so much content, so many great interviews, and I'm really proud of certain people. And there's a person who I've actually brought on the show late today to I don't know, I'm just really proud of her, and I'm going to talk to her about a little bit later on. I know she's talking, I can see her smiling in the background. She knows I'm talking about her. Do me a favor, everybody watching, smash the like button, because I can see one right now and I want to see all of you. Do me a favor, press that like button, and make sure you do me a huge favor and make sure you share so we can get more and more people watching the stream. Now we've got 6 other people. Lee, I can see Lee giving me a certain finger. 6 people back in the studio there, who I'm very proud of for all different reasons as well. We've got, first of all, one of our followers, Chris Harper. He's a fantastic guy, and he's really, really pushing up boxing up in Scotland. And we've got a professional fighter in Paul Piers, great guy, good friend of mine. Looking forward to speaking to him. We have Lisa McClellan, who's doing amazing things in boxing, the sister of Gerald McClellan. We also have Lee McAllister up in Scotland, who is a promoter up there. He's just the best. Linda Platt, who's actually the first ever female boxing photographer, who's got some stories like you'd never believe. And also, finally, the new winner from today of the British Boxing Board of Control Midlands Area Fight of the Year, Miss Becky Ferguson. So I'm going to be bringing on, first of all, my first guest, just to introduce them. And I might do potluck, so they don't even know it's going to be. Yeah. Shall we go? Becky Ferguson.
Oh, just joking. Hi.
Yeah. How are you doing?
It's me. I'm good. How are you? Twice in one day?
Oh, I'm saying nothing. That might get me in trouble. It's before 9 o'clock. My wife doesn't see twice in one day. I am married. Maybe not even twice in a year. Thinking about it.
One day.
But still, I mean, first of all, I mean, listen, this is absolutely no scripted thing I'm doing with you guys today, because this is an experimental show. We're going to have been 7 of us live, which is just wild. And it's a pleasure to have you on. So first of all, congratulations, Becky. You've won Fight of the Year for the British Boxing Board of Control in the Midlands Area, which is absolutely unbelievable. You and Vicky Wilkinson, I believe, won for the first ever, the first ever females to ever fight for the Midlands Area, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, that's literally in the history books. You must be feeling pretty good right now.
To be fair, I am. I know I sound a bit stupid saying it, but I was just happy to just be nominated, to even be recognised as somebody that even just people out there actually knew who I was, and to see that fight as a potential fight of the year. Obviously, yes, it was history being made, because we no females had fought for a Midlands title before. And obviously, yeah, me and Vicky were no stranger to each other as well. So to share the ring with someone that I get on with so well. But obviously, you know, we love to scrap with each other as well. It's the third we'd fought each other 3 times now. She's beat me 3 times. But you know, yeah, it was really good, and I'm just dead proud of myself to think the person that I was a few years ago and where I'd come from and the sort of stuff I was doing to what I'm doing now. It's just unbelievable. So
made me laugh. Really, we looked like a couple out of The Biggest Loser earlier on. Like, you know, like that American TV show where everybody loses loads of weight. Like that, basically, me and you were like chubbies, and like I'm still chubby, but not as chubby. But so you're like not chubby, so yeah.
I'd say you're not chubby. I'd say.
No, I am. You liar. Oh, I absolutely am. I'm just less chubby. And there's nothing wrong with being less chubby. Dad bods are absolutely in right now. Absolutely in. I just wanted to say, you know, first of all, thanks for joining me on the show. Huge congratulations for winning the Fight of the Year for the British Boxing Border Control, which is absolutely unbelievable. Stay with me. I'm going to be bringing on the next guest in a sec. Linda, you're up. You're up next. Linda Platt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Bless your heart. Linda, I absolutely idolize you. Absolutely idolize you. You've got one of the best boxing brains of any male or female that I know. It's the stories you've got and the stories that I honestly think that you're going to share with us today is going to be unreal. Everybody watching, do me a massive favor. Make sure you press like and make sure you share. Every single like and every single share I see. And not only that, it helps push the stream to more people. So be a legend. Share for Dan.
Thank you.
So Linda, Linda's the first ever female boxing photographer, which is amazing. Like you are a part of history and you've got ties. Just I tell you what, really, really quickly, Linda, just give us an idea of the ties and the people that you've worked closely with.
We start with Mike Tyson, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran. I worked with Emmanuel Stewart, who is an amazing trainer. Jimmy Montoya was his private photographer. I worked with Top Rank. As I look around, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns,
wow.
Sugar Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta. I filmed his wedding. If they were in the 80s, I photographed them. Some of the other fighters, the club fighters, one just died. Leroy Caldwell was a great contender. He just passed away, I think in January or February. And then Tony is still around. Tony Solidar, he's trained at Johnny Toko's for years. Layla McCarter. Now, I didn't cover her, but I met her. She started at Toko's gym. Oh, I can go on and on. Johnny Toko.
I mean, you've mentioned all these names, you know, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that we'd know? Or I'm joking. I'm joking.
Muhammad was so fun. He was so much fun, though. He was just a character, and he was always saying funny things to make me laugh. Mike Tyson was very shy, very sweet, but very shy. And, you know, Tommy Hearns, they were all just terrific. All the great managers and trainers of the 80s. We don't have them anymore.
I was born then. Linda, I was born then. You
forgot
more about boxing than I know, just to be clear. Linda, stay with me. We're going to be talking to you in a second. Let's bring on our next guest. Oh, he's still there. Mr. Lee McAllister over in Aberdeen in Scotland, all the way from Canada, all the way over then to Aberdeen in Scotland. There's how
are you, handsome?
There. I mean, I must say, I am getting there, mate.
Glad to hear it, pal.
And I will say your lighting is fantastic.
Makes a change.
First of all, introduce yourself, Lee. Lee, of course, partner of Boxing TV with Assassin Boxing Promotions and Management, incredible fighter, fought from actually won titles at lightweight to heavyweight, which is just insane. Tell us a little bit about you, Lee.
Well, I'm Lee. I train fighters, I manage fighters, I promote
it's
fighters.
Not an AA meeting, mate, I promise.
It feels like that. Basically, I'm just a family man, trying to look after my family and do good things in the community and push forward and help as many people as I can, as much as I can, every day, mate. That's what I do.
So me and Lee are very good friends. And I would like to
Allegedly.
allegedly. I chuck a story out. So I took a flight up to Aberdeen to commentate on his title fights out up in Aberdeen the other day in Scotland. And the first thing is, I said, do you know what? I've got nothing to do today because we got there a bit early. I'm gonna let me see some Aberdeen. I'd like to see Aberdeen. And he took me to this lovely seaside, and he said to me, "I'm going to take you to a village of little people." No, wait there. A colony. A colony, like they were ants. A colony of little people. And he took me to this. Were you taking a mick out of me or what? Was this actually real? Because everybody else I spoke to from Aberdeen, like little people, they were just they were just fishermen. Were these actually little people, or were you just winding me up? Because I wouldn't put anything past you.
Dan, I'll tell you something. If you was a girl, your pants would be keeping your ankles warm, mate.
Did you do me?
Oh, fucking right, I did. You daft cunt. Excuse my language.
No! So I walked all past that village of all these little houses thinking I'm expecting bloody the seven dwarves walk out, and you've just mugged me clean off.
Yeah, 100%. Oh,
I'm going to spike your drink, mate. Right. Anyway, just for that, I'm going to bring on my next guest. There's pants down, and then there's absolute like... Because I honestly was looking for little people. Right, let's bring on the next guest then. Not just a next guest, may I add. Oh, she's adjusting. Oh, very grand. I'm loving that. Lisa McClellan. Lisa, how are you getting on?
I'm good. How are you?
Better for seeing you. Better for seeing you. And follow the link at the bottom there, the ringerbrotherhoodfoundation.org, to donate support to the future of fighters. So Lisa McClellan, better known for being the sister of Gerald McClellan, who was involved in horrific, is it an accident? I'm not sure how you'd quite describe it. Horrific event for Gerald McClellan against Nigel Bennett. I'm looking forward to actually talking about this a little bit later. But Lisa, first of all, tell us about the state of what's going on with Gerald and what you're cracking on with at the moment.
Right now, Gerald is very well. We're getting ready to do some experimental things to try to help improve his brain function. But in the meantime, I've been working on my foundation, the Ringer Brotherhood Foundation. We just received an award at the World Stem Cell Summit for our grassroots efforts in helping athletes who suffered from traumatic brain injuries.
Incredible. And the crazy thing is it could literally happen to any fighter. In fact, not just any fighter. As you say, any athlete, whether that be a footballer or, as you'd be called, an American footballer, or someone who plays rugby or someone who plays basketball. Or, I mean, listen, I've took some knocks when it comes to rugby and football. So these kind of things can happen to any athlete. Is it just for athletes, or is it just for boxers, or for all athletes?
For all athletes in combat sports.
In combat sport. Incredible, yes. Incredible. So make sure you follow ringerbrotherhoodfoundation.org to donate and support to the future of the fighters. Stay with me, Lisa. Incredible to see you. Stay with me, and I'll be bringing you back on very soon. My next guest, Mr. Paul Piers, otherwise known as the Lord of the Rings himself, Mr. Gollum. How are you getting on, Paul?
Very well, thank you, Dan.
Still love me?
Oh, I always love you.
Even if I call you Gollum?
You call me whatever you want.
You're spicy. How are you getting on? You well, mate?
I'm all right, yeah. Had a busy day, Fantastic. But I'm all right.
A busy day. So tell us a little bit about you, Paul.
What would you like to know? Obviously, I'm a professional fighter. I'm 12-6. I box under British and Irish. What else do you want to know?
What's your best joke?
Lee McAllister.
Whoa! Shots fired! Wow! Whoa! I've got every single guest laughing their head off right now in the studio. I mean, that's wow. Lee, sparring tomorrow? I think I love the idea of that. I want to back you up, Paul. I want to back you up here, mate.
Okay.
So Paul Pierce, because you obviously clearly don't like saying nice things about yourself. Paul Pierce is a fantastic professional fighter. Tell us about the titles you won, Paul.
Oh, yeah. I've actually got the PBC English, the PBC International, PBC World, WBU World, WBL European, and EBL European.
So you're sitting there going, "What you want to know? What you want to know, mate?" When you're just sitting there with loads of belts, not having it. Paul, see you in a minute. The main reason I'm doing this show tonight is you all know, everybody who tunes in every week. And by the way, do me a favor, just press the share button. It means loads and it really helps. So press share and make sure you press like. I really appreciate it, you little legends. So as you quite know, I don't ever bring on 757 people. There's only me and one fighter, which we're going to be doing next week. And we've got some incredible fighters. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to thank the followers. We've got 238,000 followers. We reached 30 million people in 1 month last month. And I cannot thank you all enough. I swear to God, I can't thank you all enough. I'm a guy from a council estate who just thinks I will work while everybody else sleeps. And I tell you what, thank you. And if I can put that little bit of hope and that little bit of belief into my children, that's the reason why I'm doing it. So do me a favor, just share and please press like at Legends. I'm going to be bringing on, and the reason why I'm doing it, the reason I went to that massive charade is because I wanted to bring on a follower to be with all of these professionals and all of these iconic professionals. I want to bring on one of our followers, which is going to be my next guest. All right there, Chris, how you doing?
How are you doing, Dan? Nice to see you. Thanks for having me on tonight. I really appreciate that, mate.
Chris, I tell you what, you're in good company here, bro.
I certainly am in quite esteemed company this evening. A wide variety of characters in the studio for sure.
Right. I'm just gonna give me a second. I'm just gonna get an interpreter. I'm joking. So, first of all, thanks for following the channel. Thanks for everything you're doing in boxing in Scotland, and it means the world. It means the world as one of the followers. And we've got obviously hundreds of thousands, but of everybody, the reason I chose you to come on the show is that you're always involved. You don't want anything back. You're doing great things with Luca Flynn up in Scotland, who's doing an amazing things. So I just want to say thank you. And this is your chance to ask questions to some of the most influential fighters and trainers and photographers and everything. So, yeah.
Well,
Legend.
I'm really flattered, Dan. Thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that. I don't feel I'm doing all that much, to be honest. I just joined the gym maybe 5 years ago to try and lose some weight. And I just really caught the bug. Obviously, COVID kind of put paid to getting the number of fights that I wanted. And now I'm really inspired by the younger guys coming through the gym. And I just like, as you know, try and help them wherever I can. But I don't think I'm doing all that much, to be honest. But thank you for your kind words.
Bless you. So I'm going to be bringing on everybody now. And I feel a bit... Did you ever watch Bullseye? When it's going to take... You go, 167 pounds. It's going to take me at least this 1 minute to count it out. What, pennies? But the difference is I've got like 7 guests. So guys, this isn't the end. I know this is normally the end, but it's really not. So just stay tuned. So I thought we'd break the ice a little bit because everybody's on the screen right now with a Mexican wave. So I'm going to go with me to Chris, to Paul, to Linda, to Lee, to Lisa, to Firebomb.
At least I'm loud. Right. Yeah.
You ready for this, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Linda. Lisa, go.
Go on.
Go,
I'm waiting.
Lisa, go.
Lisa.
Yay! Yeah. Ooh. Right. Okay. So this is absolutely an experimental show for me. We all know that this isn't the way that I normally do things. And Linda, love you to bits, but I ain't going to ask you some of the questions. And do you know what, Lee? Probably not going to ask you other questions. But what I am going to do is I want all your opinions, and I think it's going to be really fun. So I've picked some of the most controversial, maybe some of the most interesting, different topics, and I want to know from each and every one of you what you think. But I will ask you the questions time by time. First of all, how is everybody?
Wonderful.
Great.
Very average.
I like average.
Of the world.
Average works. Average works. Everybody watching, make sure you share, make sure you like. Legends. Right. Starting from the beginning, I'm going to give my personal opinion on it, and then I'm going to take one of you, and then we'll go from there.
Well, you're not better giving our opinion first before you put your big mouth in and
No.
put words in everyone's mouth.
I'll put something else in your mouth if you carry on.
Oh, you horny boy.
Oh, it's not even 9. It's 10 to 9 as well. Wow. Ooh, that's me in trouble. Right. Okay. Starting with, does Iron Mike Tyson make your all-time top 10 fighters? My opinion, Mike Tyson is very good. He certainly did. He was one of the most iconic fighters of all time. He certainly did some of the most for the sport than any other fighter of all time, including Sylvester Stallone with his Rocky film. So he did a lot for it, and that's the reason why Sylvester Stallone got inducted to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. But is Mike Tyson really the top one of the top 10 fighters of all time? In my opinion, you lose to the likes of Buster Douglas. You lose to the likes of Evander Holyfield. Don't get me wrong, Holyfield was great. If you lose to the likes of many other fighters, really, on the grand scheme of things, maybe in his later days, for me, absolutely nowhere near the top 10. And I'd struggle to put him in my top 20. I'm going to put this question to Chris Harper's giving me a big ooh there. I'm going to go straight in with Linda Platt. So considering the fact that you're a photographer for Mike Tyson, what's your opinion?
I agree with you. I think he was a great fighter. He was a great fighter for his era. But I mean, how can you compare him, even though they're different weights, to Sugar Ray Robinson? Some of the older fighters, Harry Greb, Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis. I think he was great for his time, but I don't think he's one of the top 10. But I love you, Mike. I just adore him.
I'm dying. Went down the wrong goal. Anyway, this is what happens when you're live. Okay, I've moved on. Lisa McClellan, what you say?
I agree with Linda. I think he was great for the era, but I wouldn't give him top 10.
What would you give him?
Maybe top 100.
Okay. As in later within the top 100, Mike Tyson, or?
Wow.
I would say of all time, he would be probably in probably top 100.
I like it. And do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's really nothing wrong with that, because you've got to consider the people he fought. You've got to consider the people he beat. I mean, his probably best win was against Larry Holmes, who was in his massively huge later days. Larry was recently on the show, and he said a similar thing. You know, he was a fantastic fighter, but was he really the best ever? I'm going to throw this one out to Chris. The reason I'm doing this show is, Chris, is to thank the followers. So, Chris, do me a favor, duck down a little bit because I can only see your nose.
Sorry, man.
And what's your thoughts, mate?
I'm pretty stunned to hear so many people from the boxing industry say Mike Tyson doesn't make the top 10, and I'm even more stunned to hear people talking about top 100. We were talking about a guy that was world champion at 19 years old. He's definitely boosted the profile of boxing, certainly in my lifetime. And he seems to have been through some sort of renaissance and reinvented himself over the last probably 10 years, which is great to see. He's definitely in my top 10 as purely a fan. I'm pretty shocked to hear so many opinions to the contrary.
And this is why we love this sport, because it's so subjective, you know, people. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do is we're going to answer that question, but let's go to the fans, because loads of people are saying stuff. Paul Driscoll said, hello, Dan. Paul, out in Canada, who's an amazing fighter himself. Great to see you. We've got Leslie Webb said, "Hi Dan, thanks for yet another upcoming great show. Cheers, legend." Who was also my cameraman today. Russell Jarrow said, "Good evening, guys. I'm the assistant coach of Vidal Riley, great, good fighter, and matchmaker and coach at West Ham Amateur Boxing Club. Great club, great amateur boxing club. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Make sure you say subscribe and do whatever you need to do." Next one, Carl Creed. "Let's dance, Dan. Always amazing." Oh, bless you. Richard Vernon. "Good evening, Dan. Good evening, Richard. Great to see you." Carl Creed comes back in with "Well done, Becky." Oh, we've got loads here. Loads here. Here we go. We've got Adebayo Abib. Ooh, wow, good interview. Wow, nice profile picture, brother. Love that. Nice PJs. Are you in your pajamas, Paul?
I am, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
was dressed all day.
Player. Shell Pennington said you're in the doghouse. Oh, no, that's not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this one is.
Leslie Webb said, "Thank you to all of tonight's guests. Top people. Top people." Here we go again, Leslie. "Like watching Bob Monkhouse with Celebrity Square." Blankety blank. Right. Nathan Dyer. Great show again. Nathan, get in touch, mate. That's all you need to know. Right. So going back to, I'm going to move on to the next question now. And we're going to be talking about Muhammad Ali. And again, it's a similar question, really. In fact, no. Before I do that, I need to respond to Chris Harper, who was surprised about Mike Tyson not being in my top 10 and not being in Lisa McClellan's top 100. So realistically, guys, who would you put before Mike Tyson? So you've certainly got to put Evander Holyfield before Mike Tyson because he beat him twice. And then there's many poor people you put before Evander Holyfield. So you'd certainly put, in my opinion, I don't know what you think about this Paul Pierce, who looks really tired down his pajamas. Move it that way. You've got to put a lot of people before Evander Holyfield. So in my opinion, you've got to put Rocky Marciano before that, even though I don't think he's the best ever, but I think you still expect to put him before that. I think Vladimir Klitschko, you made me certainly before that. I think Lennox Lewis is way above that. Joe Louis way above that. Harry Greb's way above that. You've then got to think Jack Dempsey has got to be way before that. And we're only talking heavyweights here. Yeah. We're only talking heavyweights. Do you know? And then we've got to think Roberto Duran, Hearns, Hagler. There's so many. So I don't know if you're seeing where we're talking about here, Chris, but I take your point.
Like I say, I think it may be like the generation I grew up with boxing. Tyson was without a doubt completely iconic. There was no other fighter like him, and I really struggle to see another one like him again. It was so exciting. But I take your point. I mean, I've got guys like Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Klitschko, Nazim Mohammed, even above Mike Tyson. But he's definitely in the top 10.
5 people, but even they aren't the best.
Yeah, but like I said, and like you said as well, it's an objective sport, and from the perspective purely of a fan, I don't think you can discount what Tyson's done for the sport. But I may be over-egging it a little bit.
No, you're not.
See,
maybe you're seeing the question wrong. So we're not talking about who you think is the best, who's done the most for the sport, because there's a lot of the other fights, like Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton's done so much for the sport of boxing in the UK, but is he the best? He's nowhere near, not even close to being the best light welterweights. Never mind the top 10. But yeah, it's a fair comment. If we're talking about like the who's done the most for the sport, I agree. So we're going on to the next question now. Was Muhammad Ali really the greatest? He said he was the greatest, and we shared a video the other day where Muhammad Ali said, "I only said I was the greatest just because I had to sell a fight," which is cool. And he's one of the most amazing people of all time, sportsman. End of. I'm going to go to Lee McAllister right in the middle here. And I'm going to ask you, was Muhammad Ali really the greatest?
Well, in my opinion, I was trying to get flashes and stuff in between there. But for me, Muhammad Ali was an icon. And I personally think that his whole charisma and his attitude, and then the way he played to the general public and the boxing fraternity, in his mind, because he claimed he was the greatest, everyone believed it. But do I think that he was the greatest? I am not sure, no. And to
Why not? Why
go
not, Lee?
Well, listen, to go on your other question, I personally believe that Mike Tyson in his day, not after he got old and came out of jail and got beat by everyone, Mike Tyson at 20-year-old, 21-year-old, I personally believe that he would have beat Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali spent
Wow.
too much time on the ropes, and
Yeah.
it likes a young Mike Tyson would have executed on top of him. And to be fair, I put my hands up because I've got to put as a bit of history there, because Danny Williams knocked out Mike Tyson.
Mhm.
Am I right?
Yep.
I knocked out Danny Williams. So I'm the only lightweight world champion to step up to heavyweight and knock out a heavyweight world champion in Danny Williams. But you have the whole thing of the matter is, I can understand. I never beat a prime Danny Williams, a man in his day. Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Danny Williams, and Kevin McBride did not beat a Mike Tyson on his day. On his day, under Customato, Kevin Rooney, he was unstoppable. Very sharp. His mind, his wit, everything was in place. And that's where I stand on it.
Lee, answer me this question. So we're talking about Mike Tyson, who's a devastating fighter. Not only was he could bang like no other, but he was fast, and he's had an underrated chin. He had a fantastic defense, and he could cut the distance down well. There's no doubt about that. Listen, I think can we all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic fighter. However, we're talking about beating Muhammad Ali here. Why would Mike Tyson definitely beat Muhammad Ali, but Sonny Liston couldn't? But George Foreman.
Oh, come on, Dan.
Give
Come
me a
on,
second.
Dan.
Let me finish. George Foreman.
Let me finish.
Sonny Liston couldn't. Joe Frazier kind of did, but Joe Frazier didn't. The biggest puncher of all time, Ernie Shavers, didn't. So why would Mike Tyson?
Well, allegedly, Deontay Wilder is the hardest puncher in the world of all time, and he couldn't beat Tyson Fury. So, if you're on about hard, just because you're a hard puncher, it doesn't mean to say you are a collective, clever boxer. In his heyday, Mike Tyson was a very clever, very articulate in the ring, and he was 4 or 5 games ahead of you, like a game of chess. He was, for me, one of the most elusive, constructive, clever fighters of all times, 100%. And in his prime, not after the Buster Douglas and all that stuff, but in his prime, he was, for me, one of the top fighters of all time.
And I could never sit here and say he's not. You know, I think you'd all agree, Mike Tyson was a revelation. He was if you could put boxing with maybe 4 people on what boxing is, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali would be there. But would he beat Muhammad Ali? I'm not so sure.
Well, personally, in my opinion, Muhammad Ali was an amazing fighter. And he was one of the best fighters of all time, but he wasn't the greatest. And that's just my personal opinion. That's what I'm entitled to.
And I absolutely respect it.
But I'm telling you now, the Mike Tyson of old and the Mike Tyson of young was 2 different fighters. There was not even any correspondence into it was total different people. Mike Tyson of late was trying to save himself and fight to pay his debts off. When I met him and had conversations with him, sitting with him for hours at a time, and we sat and spoke about it. He didn't want to fight, but he had to fight for his family, which we all do every day. And he had to pay the tax man for his family. He didn't want to be in the ring. He didn't have to fight him anymore for being a top athlete, a top fighter.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to the fans. So we've got Lisa Webb coming in with, good evening, everyone. Loving the show so far. Some great people on to chat with. I'm currently pooped, but that's tired to people over in the US. But would like to ask everyone a question. If there was one thing you could change within boxing, what would it be and why? Let's start with you, Chris, because you're at the top next to me.
Well,
change in
I've
boxing?
obviously spoke to you about this before, Dan. My position is the drug testing and the enforcement of any rule breaches and the consequences of that need to be looked at as a matter of urgency. Obviously, we're talking about the health and safety of the fighters getting into the ring together, and they should be able to do that in good faith. But clearly that's not exactly what's happening at the moment, and I would hate to see another horrible incident that we've seen in the past, obviously. Not necessarily to do with doping or anything like that, but I think it's a cautionary tale, and it seems to be quite prevalent now, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit, to be honest.
I like it. Thanks for your comment. Much appreciated. On to Paul. If you could change anything within boxing, what would it be, Paul?
Probably putting the responsibility back onto the promoters to sell the tickets, so that every boxer got a chance to get to a good level and get a wage they deserve.
I like it. I mean, from the fighter's perspective, I can completely appreciate that. Linda Platt, what do you feel? If you could change anything in boxing, what would it be?
I would go back to the WBC and the WBA and have one undisputed champ. There are too many champs.
Yeah.
There are too many. The champs aren't defending their titles. I mean, Larry Holmes defended his title something like 8 times in a year. Same thing with Salvador Sanchez, Mike Tyson, Benitez. Now they don't defend their titles, but maybe once a year, and there are just too many belts, too many weight divisions, too many divisions.
Linda, by far the best one of so far. I will say, Lee, you've got something to build up to it. If you could change anything in boxing, what would it be?
For me, it would be the corruption and the assets that they try to protect between each other to make sure that they're all indestructible and cannot be broken. That is, for me, the main thing, because the fighters come first. Without the fighters, there's not boxing. So
you're talking about the well-documented mafia.
Well, the mafia, whatever you want to call them, but there's most certainly a cartel in worldwide boxing and British boxing, what control boxing, and for me, that needs to stop. And it's not about money, because there's people's lives at stake. Boxing is one of the only games in the world you can legally get killed and or be severely damaged for life, and the families and the people around about them, their friends and families, need to be given some sort of backup and some sort of thing through this, because for me, the corruption is the key. If we could stop that, if we could stop so many people being corrupt in boxing, then everyone worked together for the best part for the fighters, then there wouldn't be an issue, because without fighters, there is no boxing.
Love that. Thanks, Lee. Appreciate that. And I'll keep all your comments coming in. I'm watching every single one of them, so make sure you keep your comments coming in. Moving on then to Lisa McClellan. If you could change anything within boxing, what would it be?
That boxers have pension plans and insurance.
More support after boxing, considering what's happened with you and your family, yeah?
Absolutely. And to go even further, just the accidental insurance policies and the way that those policies are paid out, and to make sure there was, good insurance coverage and, pension plans coming every month to take care of these guys. So many of these guys, not just Gerald, but many of the fighters in the 90s are suffering from traumatic brain injuries today without any help. So definitely pension plan.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And finally, on to Becky. Only because you're at the bottom, my darling. But if you could change anything in boxing, what would it be?
Me personally, it's a little bit different from what those guys have just said. I'd want 3-minute rounds for women. Just
Love
obviously quite a simple one to say, really, but it actually needs to be done. I'm training around. I feel like women would be able to showcase a little bit better. It's too far. Like we have to just crack on and get everything done in them 2 minutes. With that extra minute, it'd be a bit more paced, and we'll be able to, obviously more knockouts come in the last minute of most rounds, right? So but yeah, I just think women should fight in the same things that men do. So can't we have the 3 minutes like men do too?
I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying, and it's a very, very valid comment. Massively valid comment, actually. The only thing is I've had interviews with some huge, high-profile female fighters, and the science behind that. Let me just take this comment off for 1 second, so I can see all you guys. So there's science behind it. And I'm not saying this because for any other reason than you know full well, to be fair, how much I respect female boxing, Becky, above probably everybody. But the science behind it is that females apparently, and I'll show you the interview that I had with a recent guest, can't push themselves as much as men can. And there's the reason that the 2 minutes are there is for that reason. I mean, I don't know what you think about that. I don't know if you agree with that. But that's apparently the reason why it's there.
Okay. Well, I'm not arguing against that at all. But I train in a gym full of guys, and we train I train the 3 minute rounds and spar the 3 minute rounds like they. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I suppose. But obviously, if we're only fighting 2 minute rounds, we're only going to get used to fighting 2 minute rounds. So unless the 3 minutes.
Okay. Like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And at the same time, Becky, listen, I completely agree with you. Like, it's no different than the amateurs, really, is it? I mean, Lee, you can back me up here. Back in the amateurs, it used to be short amount of rounds, and back in the amateurs, it was, if you do 4-2s or whatever, it was manic because you had to get your points scored within that 2 minute round, which is the same thing with female boxing at the moment. Whereas with that 3 minutes, though, Becky, just to back you up here, you can take your time. Do you know? You don't have to go mad.
But listen, I've actually got Becky's back here. I do not agree with 2 minute rounds for females. I do not agree with 2 minute rounds in general. You go back to the amateurs and all this. I don't even agree with amateur boxing the way they try and teach their kids to fight. So I'm in a position where I personally believe that even though the amateurs and the point score, I think the best fighter should win on the night. It's not about the point scoring and standing and trying. I believe that every single individual that steps into that ring, in the pros especially, should be fighting 3 minute rounds.
I completely agree. I actually completely agree with that. Right, moving on then to our next topic of conversation. How's everybody feeling?
Great.
Mexican wave?
Oh.
Chris, Paul, Linda, Lee?
I don't know what it is.
She doesn't. Oh, well, I now understand what happened earlier then.
Done, right? Since I logged onto this thing, right? My phone's gone from 90% to about 5% now, so I'm waiting to put my phone on charge. So.
You go put your phone on charge. I'll drop you out, and then
no, it does drop out. You can just look at the wall.
Yeah, but it's funny if I do drop you out. Yeah, bye. Yeah. Right, there we go. You'll be back in a second, right? Okay, cool. Chris Harper is also gone, so let's. And then there were 5 with people who've actually got phones. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go on to the next one, and I'm going to talk about something that's really close to my heart, and it's something that's really close to one of my guests' hearts, to be fair. Lisa McClellan. I'm going to drop you all back in. I'll bring you back in a second. So, Lisa, this is quite controversial, and I don't mind asking you because I'm sure you've asked this question before. Now, the question was drug use within boxing. And what should the consequences be? Now, obviously, I'm sure how sore you must be over the whole Conor Benn situation recently, considering what happened with your beloved brother, who's an absolute legend of the sport, and Nigel Benn. Now, what I heard recently is that, in fact, it happened. I heard that Nigel Benn had tainted blood on his boot that had something to do with some form of steroid or something of that nature. Now, please educate me around what that is about. And I'd like to the second question would be, what do you feel the consequences should be for people who drug cheat?
Well, let's go back to the first question. I'm just a straight shooter, Dan. And that story about the boots was brought to me probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And immediately when I heard the story, I called a friend of mine who works in forensics as a as a detective, and it wouldn't be humanly possible to know. I'm not sure if you heard the whole story, but what had came back to me was there was blood on Gerald's boot. The only person that was bleeding in the ring that night was Nigel. So the blood came from Nigel, and supposedly the guys that were in the corner with Gerald, which are bums, Donnie Pendleton and Stan Johnson are bums.
Are bums?
Complete bums.
Why?
So that's a whole nother show, Dan.
Let's do it.
I will. But they sold fake stories to make money off of Gerald's name.
Wow.
And that was just another fake story. It would not be possible to take a blood sample from the boot and prove it was Nigel's unless they had a vial of Nigel's blood.
Right. Okay.
So that wasn't possible. So that was another lie, just for them to get attention to sell more stories.
So this is all bull then?
I'm not saying there weren't accusations that Nigel wasn't juiced that night, because I did hear that. And I heard that from a very, very close person to Nigel.
Okay.
That he was. But that scenario was made up by the two guys that shouldn't have been in the ring with Gerald that night. And secondly, I feel he should completely be barred from boxing to never fight again if he's going to be a cheater.
I completely agree with that. I want to go to one of the fans, Russell Gerard. You said earlier on you were the trainer of Vidal Riley. I did say that you were. You said it's different to the amateurs, mate. It's completely different. I train both. Yeah, I completely agree. It's a different sport. It's more point scoring. I'm being there, mate. But you then said, I've been blanked on here. I'm not quite sure you've been blanked on here, mate. I've said a few times. Respect to you, mate. Talk about Vidal Riley, the future of British cruiserweights. Vidal Riley, as I said earlier on, massive talent. In fact, I'd love to speak to him. So please send me a direct message. I'd like to speak to him. Lee Hurley said, banned and banned for life. No ifs, buts, or whys. Completely agree. Leslie Webb said, love and thoughts to both Lisa and her brother, Gerald, and all the very best. Love to you both. That's
Thank you.
Lovely to hear. So, just to clarify, the blood on Nigel Benn's boot that I'm pretty sure most people believe is not true.
It was blood on Gerald's boots that the guy took the boots from the ring and never returned them. They were property of Gerald's. So he's had them for 28 years and not returned them to Gerald. But
wow.
They tried to say, both the guys that were in the corner, that there was blood on the boots, and the only person in the ring that night was bleeding was Nigel. So they said,
oh, okay.
They said that they had the boots tested and it was Nigel's blood, but that's no way possible.
Why?
What would they test it against? I mean, they would have to have had a sample of Nigel's blood to compare that blood sample to.
Not necessarily. I mean,
absolutely, Dan.
Not necessarily. I'm just thinking from my end. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's fine. But I'm just thinking, if he's the only person who was bleeding, and the only blood that was on either boot there was blood there, then why would it need to be tested
But
against
mind you, he's
anybody?
had the boots for over 28 years.
So you're suggesting that there's a possibility that some maybe cut their own finger and put some blood on there?
Why did he wait 20 years to come out with the story?
So I don't know about anybody else back there in the studio, but that's bloody interesting. Really, really interesting stuff. Fantastic. Great stuff. Going to bring everybody else back in here for a second. Right. So really enjoying this. Everybody watching, everybody please share. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like legends. So going on to the next question now. Boxing in schools. This is something I'm really bloody quite passionate about, because I think that it absolutely should be. Because, and I think you'd agree, but I don't know if you'd agree. I mean, please speak out. I don't mind anybody speaking out. Lee, I can only see half your face here, mate. Sound. So, boxing in schools, and I'll put Becky back on here because she was gone last time. So I don't want to leave you there, Becky, a little red-headed Auburn machine. Right. So, I think boxing is, I always say this, but boxing has saved so many more lives than it's taken. Boxing teaches a lot more than just boxing. It teaches respect, self-discipline, teamwork, and many, many, many more things. Now, I'm going to ask you, first of all, to Becky, do you think that boxing should be taught in schools?
Yes, I do. Only because me personally, from having my two young children, I know how they can be quite naughty. My son especially, when I bring him into the gym, obviously they come training with me a lot. It actually gives him interest, and he actually likes the discipline of it. And I do find that obviously it helps just sort of helps him get ready for adult life as well a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like being told what to do by somebody is never something that people enjoy doing, but obviously in the boxing world with your coaches, you kind of have to keep your mouth shut, and you know, you are told what to do. Obviously, like you said, with self-discipline and stuff, and fitness, it's a massive health thing as well. As I'm not trying to say that everybody's overweight these days and stuff, but obviously to encourage people to do something of fitness nature, and I think when people think about boxing and like to say, oh, boxing in schools, it's not necessarily meaning like they're going to be sparring each other. It's just teaching the actual techniques of boxing and self-defense. I mean, me personally, from a girl that has had things happen to her where I haven't been able to look after myself, so to speak, or to defend myself, or at least even have the confidence to walk around and know that I could defend myself, where there has been times where I haven't been able to do so. And then obviously since finding boxing, it's just
What do you mean?
Just like I've gone through a few bad things in the past few years of my life, where I've sort of been beaten up by partners or ex-partners, or even at school. When I was fatter at school, I used to get bullied, and I can laugh about it now, but obviously I think if it was my children, to have things said to them like I had said about me when I was a kid, and just I had no confidence. And I do find that like it's actually affected me later on in life as well. So the things of people not being good to me sort of come back to haunt me, in the sense of even like my self-belief and stuff. I just think if somebody would have been there to help discipline me and give me self-confidence, and to be like, look, you can believe in yourself and you can do anything, which I do think boxing is a massive part of doing that for people. But at the end of the day, I'm not glad that everything happened but everything happens for a reason, and I am the person I am today because of it. But on the long story short, I've just gone off on one, haven't I? But yes, they should.
No, you haven't just gone off on one. No, you haven't.
You should teach boxing, because you know there are children that my kids are quite opposite. You know, my little daughter, she's full of fire and she's like right in your face, and she's or whereas my son's opposite. And I just think it's balanced. So yeah, and also it's socializing with other children and having similarities and stuff. So yeah.
Becky, I'm going to talk to you on the. So you know that I went up to really heavy. I was like 33.5 stone.
I do.
I'm not sure. It's like 500-600 pounds to the American people watching. And up until recently, I've lost a lot of weight, and I don't think people watching, I'm not, unless you've been there, I'm not sure you realize how hard it is. I was talking to my uncle, she's an amazing builder. I mean, I was with him on Friday, and he's incredible. He's so good at it, like moving, so fit as well. But he's a bigger guy, but he's so fit, and like it's bloody hard.
Yeah,
It's really hard. Like it's so like I was 33.5 stone. I didn't even dare to even go in the same places that I used to visit because I was too ashamed of people, seeing how much weight I put on. And I know you've been there. Bless your heart, man. Like bless your heart. Like proper. The thing is with me, I did jiu-jitsu when I was younger, and then obviously box when I was younger. But I also was a choir boy, so nobody wanted getting knocked out by no fat ginger choir boy. But the only thing that happened, and anybody watching, any bullies, you all got knocked out, didn't you? All of you. So if you're watching, do you remember it? You remember me? You all got knocked out, mate. Or every single one. I remember you. Shout out to every single bully who ever tried to mess with me and my family. I battered you. Choir boy, ginger, and fat or not. So just don't underestimate a fat ginger.
Exactly. No, I'm joking. But no, it is.
Touch me. Don't leave me hanging.
It's a big
You're
thumbs
leaving
up.
me hanging, Becky. Touch me.
I'm leaving you hanging.
Touch me.
Oh, I can't see you frozen. So did you high five me?
No, I give you oh my God, I nearly said I'd give you a fist. It's getting worse. He's getting worse as the day goes on. It really, really is. Right, I'm going to back you out a second while we carry on. Absolutely wicked. I absolutely love this. Let's bring everybody else back in. So, yeah, as far as bullies, nah, don't be a bully. Don't be an idiot. Right.
Who's eating crisps?
There's someone who's absolutely reverberating against me, and I'm not sure who it is right now. I'm going to remove one of you side by side, and it's Lee. So, Lee, do me a favor, get yourself a pair of headphones, mate, because you're the only person who's reverberating on me. Reverberating on me. Right, anyway. So going in with the rest of the guests who are with us right now. So let's bring Linda back in. So let's talk about who you think is the greatest fight ever. The greatest fight ever. I know mine, but I'm going to go start with Lisa McClellan. Who do you feel is who has been the greatest fight ever?
Well, you probably should pass on me with this one, Dan, because I haven't really watched much boxing in the last 28 years. I've been just trying to clean up the mess of the sport. So I haven't really been watching much lately. So I'll probably pass on that one.
If you could pick a fight, though.
But probably
maybe the best one you've seen or witnessed.
Probably Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns.
Beastie fight. Love that. Moving on then to, let's say, our next guest. Linda.
There's so many great ones. Bobby Chacon and Bose Edwards they had two great fights, but I think my favorite was just the 3-round fight with Hagler and Hearns. It was so easy to photograph because it only went 3 rounds. Tommy broke his hand in the first round, continued to fight, and it was like 9 minutes of action. It was amazing. But there were so many great fights. That was my favorite.
Linda, were you there for the Hagler?
Yes.
Fight? Were you a ringside photographer?
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Wow. I mean, what was going through your head sitting there ringside watching that? Because that's
the thing is,
best fight of all time.
Caesar's Palace put me up on a platform, but Japan sent me a close lens. So it was just, I was just concentrating on trying to get the knockout shots, any shots, like that great shot of Jersey Joe Walcott, I think.
Rocky Marciano, yeah.
we love getting those shots. We love catching the action as they go down. That was an amazing fight. I wish it had have lasted longer because the crowd just went crazy. My other favorite fight, because I'll be brief, was Roberto Duran and Davey Moore. It was a pretty good fight, but everyone had given Roberto was considered a 52-1 favorite to lose. And I had picked him for 8 rounds and I was dead on. And the photo appeared in Sports Illustrated. It was an amazing fight. 23,000 screaming fans at Madison Square Garden. One of the best fights I've ever been to.
Linda, you are incredible. I mean, I don't know about every other guest here, but listening to Linda, wow.
I'm like this.
Mean, there's some bloody stories there. Whoa. Linda, thank God I got you on this stream. I nearly pooed myself when you couldn't get on earlier. Right. So moving on to the next question then. So we're going to go with, Linda's going to love this. I'm pretty sure Lisa will love this too. So who was, only pick one, who was the best fighter of the 4 kings of Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns, and Hagler? Who was the best fighter out of them? Now I'm going to go with Chris first. What do you think?
Obviously, 4 standalone fighters that just happened to be in the same generation. Otherwise, they would all be considered the greatest in any other company, I'm sure. For me personally, it's the marvellous one, Marvin Hagler. So the adversity he went through, the dedication, the training, the mindset, the attitude, and then obviously the performances, particularly against Hearns. He's the standout one for me, but every one of them deserve that accolade themselves, but definitely Hagler.
Okay, I like it. And then Paul Pierce, what are you saying?
I'm quite embarrassed to say this, but I've never been like a big boxing fan to watch the old generation of fighters. I started boxing from my own problems and for what I was going through. I didn't start boxing or was a fan of boxing. So I can't really answer any of the questions that you're asking.
I massively respect that, mate. Listen, bloody hell.
I am very embarrassed, but yeah, it is.
Why would you be embarrassed, you daft get?
Because I'm sitting here with all these people that have been around all these boxes and I can't answer any questions.
No,
I've no problem. You've certainly been around longer than me, mate.
And plus, you're going to knock both up, but probably a lot of us out. So just let's not agree here, kid. Right. So moving on then to Becky. She's like, "Hey, for shit." I can say that word now because it's past 9 o'clock, so it's okay.
Am I allowed to swear?
No,
I won't swear. For me, I'm not gonna. I'm jumping on the Paul wagon here. It's not that I've never not heard of all of those blokes. I've heard of every single one of them, and I believe that they are great for their own reasons. But it was slightly before my time of watching boxing, and similar to Paul, I actually spend a lot more time watching boxing now, than I did when I was younger. Which I'm quite. I always feel a bit bad that I wasn't around in like the 80s and 90s and stuff when all these real good fights were going on and stuff. Whereas now I actually do. I spend my evenings watching like 3 boxing fights a night. So all of those blokes, with massive credit for all of them. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to choose because I wouldn't know enough about them to choose, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay. So there's a reason why there's you, Becky, and Paul on the screen right now. You're not even too far of a sit. No, you can't. You're going to listen, Paul. Thank you. You're all a similar age to me. So why do I know so much about boxing and you don't from the old school?
You are a boxing fan.
Don't you dare say I'm fat.
I was going to say, but you're a true boxing fan. You're a true boxing fan, aren't you? Like, you know the ins and outs of every boxer pretty much going. So you're like a little boxing dictionary. So I believe that God decided that you would have all the knowledge and I would just be left to throw hands. That's what I think. So
why do you think
I agree?
Paul, she doesn't think I could throw hands, mate. Ooh, mate, I can throw them. I've lost 14 stone, pal. I'm like bloody
I know
Sugar
you
Ray
can throw
Hewitt.
him. I know you can throw him.
Oh,
But
don't mess about me, mate. Do you know what I'm going to do for a laugh? I'm going to come your gym. Do you know what? I'm actually going to do this. Paul, you listen to this. I'm going to bring everybody else in. I'm going to bring
we should have a live
everybody
spa.
else in. I'm going to live spa. I'm going to smash it.
Do you want a live spa?
So I'm going to come to your gym and we're going to have a spa.
You see this, everyone? You hold him to this.
Yes.
I think this
You'll
needs to
be
be
holding,
live.
mate. You'll be holding, begging for your
Oh,
life.
whatever.
You'll be like,
You'll be on your
"Oh,
toes.
please
You'll be
don't
on your
splash
toes.
me anymore." Yeah, what? Yeah, you up for it?
This needs to be on live.
100%.
This needs to be live.
I would not turn down a spa. That is it. That I'm up for that, Dan.
Oh,
I'm
you
up
will.
for that.
You will when there's like the guy above you going 1, 2, and I'm like, yeah, who's got no hands now?
Dream on, dream on.
Dan, Dan? Can I just recommend 3 fights to Becky? Because I'm absolutely astounded to hear that they'll not be watching the fights from the olden days. Is it okay if I recommend 3 to Becky? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Yeah. So first of all, Sweet
Apart
Pea
from
Pernell
the
Whitaker
signal.
versus Oscar De La Hoya, Hagler Hearns 2, and Gatti Ward 1. That's the 3 fights to watch.
Gatti Ward. Ooh, I think we can all salivate on that. Jesus.
Fantastic.
Can I recommend a fight? Can I recommend a fight to most of you? I think Linda and Lisa will probably know more about this. Ron Lyle against George Foreman.
Okay.
Linda, do you know much about that one?
No.
Oh.
It was before, it had to be before I started in 79.
Ron Lyle, George Foreman, 2 of the biggest punchers of all time.
Mhm.
Both put each other on their arse 2 or 3 times.
Mhm.
It's just such a good fight. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Right, moving on to my next question then. So we're going to go with Carl Froch. Do you know Carl Froch?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, we'll come back to you in a second because the next question you definitely will. So Carl Froch is. So let me just drop you 2 out just for 1 second. Be right back in a second. So Carl Froch is a British fighter who loves saying that he's got the 80,000 people at the stadium, and he loves that. I mean, I'm not a massive, huge fan when it comes to that kind of stuff, but he said that he has got a much better legacy than Anthony Joshua. Now, Chris, I'm going to put you in here, mate, because you're a fan, and right now you've probably got the equal level of knowledge than me because everybody else is a fighter, but they don't know much about boxing. So,
I don't know, man.
you get smashed. You are. Don't you see? Yeah. Kiss. Yeah. I'll be kissing you with that jab. Pat. Right. Anyway, Chris, what are you saying?
Yeah. Right, I'll level with you, mate. I've never been a fan of Anthony Joshua. I admired the work he done for sure, winning titles and stuff. I think leaving Rob McCracken was a mistake. And I think he's been poorly guided. I feel like he's surrounded by yes men that just agree with him and tell him he's brilliant, to be honest. Whereas on the other hand, Carl Froch was a hard man. He also won a couple of world titles. So as far as records go, they're probably about the same. You could argue AJ's fought better fighters than Froch did. But again, that's subjective. But for me, I think Froch has definitely got the better legacy than Joshua. But again, that's purely like personal opinion.
Let me hold you a second, and I fully respect your opinion. And I say this to people on the channel all the time when they're like, listen, I massively respect your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that just because you got a different opinion to me. But how do you feel he's fought better people? And this is based on something.
I know, I'm saying,
1 second. Let me
finish. Joshua's got the better.
Let me finish. I know, yeah, let me finish. So what you're saying is Anthony Joshua's fought the better people than Carl Froch did. So if we're looking at people who Joshua had beat, so Klitschko, absolutely. But that's coming off a 2-year layoff.
Yeah.
If we're looking at, so who else are we looking at?
You're probably looking at, realistically, what I'm trying to say is
Wait 1 second, just answer that question. Who else are we looking at?
Well, you're not. That's the problem with Anthony Joshua, right? It's Klitschko. That's the big name on his record.
Yeah, but you said that he's got a better record than Froch.
Okay, I'll reword that. It's widely accepted that Anthony Joshua seems to have a better record, a better legacy in terms of who he fought, resume, if you like, than Carl Froch. But if we're talking about legacy, for me, it's okay. You look at the titles won, you look at the people they fought, but you want to look at the impact they've had in the sport. And I think from my memory, I feel Froch is a much bigger boxing icon than Anthony Joshua. I think he's a much harder man. I think he was a more talented boxer. I've just never liked AJ, mate. That's just the honest answer on it. I don't see what the hype's all about.
I do the same. Guys, I absolutely do the same thing when it comes to people. I've got to be so careful considering the position I'm in to say that people like other people, and I just don't even. It's a learning curve. But let's go to the fans. Russell Gerard said, "There's nothing." Oh, bloody hell! I've lost you now. There's nothing like boxing. It's the ultimate discipline for lads and lady boxers. The sacrifice they make as well. I've trained many boxers who ended up going down the wrong road and end up in prison or dead. Sound. On the plus side, I've seen plenty flourish. Yeah, this is why I say that boxing's it's saved more people than it's lost. Make it through the sacrifice as well. It's a tough, long, hard road. I'm 54 years old. That's the new 70. And boxing has saved me, and I respect the sport, and I love helping others. It's very satisfying, but it can be a thankless task as well. Good luck on you, mate, and thanks for sticking with boxing. That's lovely. Paul Driscoll said Duran's birthday. Is it Duran's birthday today? Someone Google that.
Somebody's jumped on Google.
Linda is a legend. She talks so much sense. Linda, I can see in the background there. Apparently, you're a legend. Love that. Mark Hughes said, loving this. Special mention to the brother Chris Harper. Good seeing you on the screen, lad. Outstanding. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. Leslie Webb said, one Sugar Ray Leonard. I completely agree. Marvin Hagler, Tom Stearns, who was his favourite. Okay, I like that because he's pretty third, but even though he's his favourite. And Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran's a beast. Very knowledgeable, like that. Leslie Webb said, don't forget your trunks for the spa, Dan. I'm not even sure what he even said. Oh, honestly, not that spa. Not that spa. I was going to say something dead rude then about knocking something out, but I'm just going to pretend that's a wrap. James Page, when does the fight start? Well, I'm going to knock Becky out, basically. That's basically what's going to happen there.
Is this tag team boxing? Is it me and Dan versus Becky and Paul? Is that what's happening?
You can fight Paul if you want, mate. It's fine.
No, I thought you were going to Paul.
I'm happy.
Do you know how hard Paul is? Just saying. But Becky, mate, it'd be so funny, actually. It would be a wicked video. It would, wouldn't it?
Confused.
Oh, I can't see you now.
Oh.
I can't see you again. It's okay. I'll let you in a minute.
Now can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
Hello.
You're looking for.
Is it me you're looking for?
Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is absolutely 100. I'm going to drop you out a second, guys. Stay here. This is 100% going to happen. Are you listening? I'm going to come to Impact.
Yes, you
within
are.
the next 4 weeks, and I'm going to absolutely school you.
Please.
You'll be begging for a right. Like,
left, right, good night. Yeah.
Oh, begging for a right. You'll be like, oh, have I took that many jabs? I'm begging for a right. It'd be a good video, though.
I think it would.
It'd be a sick video. We should definitely do it. Oh, 100%.
I'm up for it. You should come down.
Well, it's not about being up for it or not. It's actually going to happen.
It will happen.
Gonna happen. I'm going to bring all of the legends back into the stream now. Right. So on to the next question. And this is a great question. And I'm going to bring Lisa and I'm going to bring Linda back into the room. So we're going to be talking about the Frankenstein boxer, Builder boxer, which is a fantastic thing. Chris actually mentioned this earlier, and I love this anyway. So you are Frankenstein, which Frankenstein monster, but he wasn't really him. He was actually a doctor, wasn't he? Professor Frankenstein. Okay.
Yeah.
And he made Frankenstein from parts of different humans. So we're talking about Frankenstein boxer here. Guys, I'm going to drop you out because I want Linda and I definitely want Lisa to be involved in this one. So, guys, are you ready for this? All girls. Starting with you. So, if you could create a fighter, you could put body parts of the best fighters in the entire world together to make the most perfect fighter. Starting with brain. Boxing brain. Who would you pick for your boxing brain?
I would have to say maybe Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay. How about chin?
Oh my goodness. Well, certainly wouldn't be Tyson. I don't know. I
Wow.
really don't.
Shots fired.
Maybe Roberto Duran. He took a lot of shots without being knocked down or knocked out.
Mhm.
Or Hagler. I don't know.
Okay.
Never thought about it.
Backhand. So we're talking a right hand or a left hand, depending if the southpaw or orthodox.
I don't know.
Power shot. Big right hand. Who's the biggest one?
You know, believe it or not, Tommy Morrison. However, he didn't fight too many quality fighters, but he had a great right hand and a great left hand.
Great left hook. Absolutely unbelievable
Yes.
left hook.
And Larry Holmes had a great left jab, one of the best.
Well, that's answering my next question. For me, they're the best. Do you know what? I'm gonna bring Ginny actually. And Lisa, do you know much about Lisa? Do you know much about Larry Holmes's jab?
No.
Right. So I had Larry on my show not too long ago, which amazing. I love speaking to him. And Chris, I know you're back in the background. I showed you this the other day. And one thing I understood about Larry Holmes with his jab, it was like boom, boom, but it wasn't. So I said, so tell me about your jab then. So what did you do with your jab? So what he said is he slapped it. He slapped him. Just went tch, tch, tch. But obviously when you're like 6'4", 6'3", it's not a slap, is it? You know, it's bloody hard. But he said he used to slap him. He used to go pat, 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 pat like that. And I'll tell my kids, my grandkids this. And he said, but then when he started to notice that the eyes were starting to droop and the eyes were starting to bruise, then he'd tense his fist and then he'd hit him with the knuckle to open up the wound. How amazing is that?
Wow.
Very.
Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't
That's
either.
incredible. Like, let's say, because I think that's really cool. Yeah. So, jab, I'm absolutely with you there. Linda, I'm going to drop you back in because I'm going to speak to Lisa here. So, Lisa, legend. So, Frankenstein. So, we're talking about the brain of a boxer. If you could pick the brain of a boxer, you're going to pick?
I'd pick Mayweather.
Oh, damn. Okay. I'm liking that. Okay. Then we're going to carry on with chin.
Not for. I'd take Mayweather because I think he's been very, very. The way he handled his business, the way he's been brilliant with just paving the way for business for himself. So what was the second one?
Chin.
I say Gerald.
Gerald McClellan's chin.
Gerald McClellan. Yep.
I'd take a bit of favoritism, but that's fine.
Mm.
And backhand. So we're talking right hand or left hand, depending on the position.
I say Roy Jones.
Okay. So right hand with Roy Jones. Cool. Jab.
Not sure.
Okay. And we're going to go with a final one, which is defense. Defense.
I'd probably say Bernard Hopkins.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's a bit of me. That is a bit of me, Lisa. I love that. Bernard Hopkins was a very, very, very intelligent fighter. Absolutely love that. I'm going to be bringing on, stay with me, Lisa. I'm bringing in a second because I've absolutely got questions for you. So tonight, thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. We've got 6 guests back in the studio here. Thank you for joining. I'm professional commentator Dan Hewitt. Please do me a massive favor. I really appreciate it. Please share the stream so more people can watch, and make sure you press like. I'd really appreciate it. This is not. I do this for nothing, and it's been a bloody long day for me, so much appreciated. So I'm going to be bringing on. In fact, not bringing on. I'm going to be talking about my next question, and we're going to be talking about talking about Tyson Fury. We're going to be talking about Tyson Fury, which I think that people are getting a bit frustrated about lately, and I don't really like it. I'm going to be on Paul Pierce, Tyson Fury. So Paul Pierce, of course, multi time champion. So Paul, are you with me?
I am.
Okay, so Tyson Fury, how I think people out there, and every single one of us out there, can be a little bit frustrated about the amount of times the negotiations have fell down between Tyson Fury and every other fighter, whether it be the Australian guy, whether it be Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder, bloody Pat from Coronation Street. It's getting a bit daft. So do you feel that maybe Tyson Fury is losing fans from not making these fights?
I'm definitely 1,000,000%, but I never. There's not many people involved in these fights. You can't blame Tyson because we don't know if it is him. There's not many people involved in these big fights. Is it them not working together, or is it Tyson? I struggle to understand what actually happens making this fight, because it's not it can't be that easy. It can't be that hard.
Can't be that. But can it be? Can it be? When you're talking about, I mean, we're looking at recently Saudi. Let's bring everybody else in here actually for a second. So we're talking about Saudi here, guys. Lisa will join us very shortly. So we're talking about Saudi. We're talking about 34 million each for Joshua against Wilder. We're talking 63 million for Usyk and 126 or 116 for Fury. I mean, realistically, I mean, how can that not be made? I mean, guys, shout up. What do you think?
I think Paul's bang on what he's saying, Dan. Paul's saying there that there's too many people involved, so you can't really say Fury's the one to blame. And that's kind of how I see it from the outside. Like anything that's reported, you just can't accept any speculation from any source until you actually hear it from pretty much the fighter. You can't. But
really there's no speculation, Chris. There's no speculation. There's only one person that walked away from the Tyson Fury Usyk fight. Do you know who that is?
Well, I'm sure you're going to enlighten me, but
Usyk. That's talking from Dev Sarni. He was on the show the other day from Frank Warren's team. And there's only one fighter who walked away from that, which it sounds mad, but there's a reason why he did it, because the Saudis wanted the fight. The Saudis wanted the fight, and now what's happened? Oh, the Saudis are going to break 120 million. Yeah, because he knew that the tiny purse he had against Anthony Joshua in the rematch when he was the champion is less than what he would have earned in a unification undisputed fight against Tyson Fury. I mean, you'd be stupid to do that. You'd be absolutely daft to do that. And that's exactly what happened there. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next question because I've got every amazing people on here right now. So I'm going to go with, I'm not going to bring you in too much, Linda, because I know you're not involved too much with the latest thing. Same with Lisa. So I'm going to drop you out in a second. Stay tuned, guys. I'm going to bring you back on in a second. So we're going to be talking about modern day boxing. We're going to talk about Terence Crawford against Errol Spence. Now, starting with Paul, I'm going to keep you on the screen at the same time here. So, Paul, earlier on today, I had the honour of being at the media for the British Boxing Board of Control Midlands area award ceremony, and I had the honour to interview Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who is a legend of the sport. And we had a bit of a to and fro over who's going to win between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. And he said Errol Spence is too big, which everybody says Errol Spence is too big. But I said, well, listen, this is me. And I'm going to say, no, I think Terence Crawford's going to win. I think he's a generational fighter, and he's a switch hitter, and he's got everything. But I want to know your opinion. It's a subjective sport. So, in your opinion, Paul, who do you think wins? Terence Crawford and Errol Spence?
No, I think Spence beats him.
Why?
I'm going to go on size as well, and obviously boxing the belt. They're both great boxers, but for me, Spence wins.
Okay, fair enough. And then we move on to Chris. What are you saying?
Crawford, I'm pretty much with you, Dan, for the reasons you've just mentioned. I think Crawford's ability to switch it up, and he's just fantastic to watch. Both of them are, let's be honest, they're fantastic fighters, but I think Crawford wins it.
I like it. And then Becky, on to you, sweetheart. What are you saying?
I'll sit on the fence, really. I mean, both of them.
Oh, bloody hell.
Someone's got to sit on the fence, haven't they? But I mean, yeah, you can go off size and stuff like that, but it also all depends what happens on the night, won't it? Really. Both
Right.
quality.
So you know, after you finish boxing, there's actually a member of the Labour Party here in the UK that you could be a politician.
Look, right.
Oh, listen, you want to fight, mate? We'll be doing that very soon. You can take your frustration out when I'm pinging you from pillar to post. Like, I'll be like, pong.
Get down Impact.
Mate, get down. She says that like I've never been there. Just saying. I'll be pinging you. You'll be begging for that right hand.
Don't believe it. Believe it when I see it. When I feel it.
What do you reckon? But do you reckon she's underestimating me, Paul?
Becky, I just hope you say sorry after you beat him up.
I was going to say, you better say sorry, honey. I'll say sorry. I'm always polite like that.
Yeah. I'm going to say sorry when you like this.
And Dan, I think you should give
literally Jesus on the floor. Like, I'll be like, unlucky.
I'll be sure to put you starfished out on the ring as a profile picture for a while.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Now she's interested in me. Right, anyway. Right, anyway, let's move on before it gets past watershed. So we're going to go on with female boxing. So we're going to start with Becky. So we're going to talk with Katie Taylor, who's done amazing things for the sport.
Yes.
I mean, she's been, for me, probably the best female boxer of all time, really, in my opinion. So she got beat by Chantal Cameron last time around. So getting beat by Chantal Cameron, can she come back and win? Because she looked pretty much like a dwarf compared to her in the first fight. She was so much size difference. So can she win? Because she's activated the rematch clause. So can she win?
I'd like to say to be honest, I support both of those women, and I watched the fight, and Chantal Cameron just did exactly what she needed to do. She kept the pressure on her. She just didn't give her any time. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously, I think Chantal Cameron's coming into, she's on the way up there. Not taking anything away from Katie at all. But I think, if Chantal does the same thing that she did last time, Katie won't be able to do it.
No.
But it depends on the night of who does it. But for me personally, I think Chantal wins again.
There's going to have to be significant differences. Lisa McClellan. So obviously you've been on the wrong end of a devastating situation that happened between Gerald and, I mean, women's boxing, of course, is on the rise. But do you feel that maybe, I mean, do you feel it's the right thing as far as the growth of female boxing?
Excuse me. I'm a huge fan of Clarissa Shields, and I just had the pleasure of spending some time with her about a month ago.
Okay.
And I love her drive, and I take my hat off to the women that go in there, and they're just as entertaining to me. So I love having women a part of the sport.
Love it, absolutely love it. And to Linda. So Linda, back when you were involved in boxing, which again, to introduce you to people who just joined us, the first ever female boxing photographer.
Woo!
there was no such thing as a female fighter back then.
No.
And in fact, there was no such thing as a female in boxing back then. And you had to warn people to back off you because you were, and say you are still a very beautiful looking young lady, may I add.
Thank
But
you.
back then, you were even more so of a beautiful looking young lady.
Thank you.
She
But-
sure was, Dan.
Oh, she was. She
sure
still
is.
is. Look at her.
She
She's
still
fire.
is.
There's only one firebomb right here. So, I mean, it must be. What's it like for you to see females jumping in the ring right now?
I love it. I got to meet for the first time, and I followed her for a while, Layla McCarter. She's been
poor
fighting
Layla.
like 22 years. She looks 12 years old. She spars with nothing but men at Toko's gym. She never sparred with a woman before, and she's an animal in the ring. She's just amazing. And she had a couple of fights fall out, but she just wrote me, she's looking for another fight to come up. And I asked her why she continues to fight. I mean, she's been fighting 22, 23 years. And she said she loves to travel and she enjoys boxing. And I love her. And I got to meet Christy Martin, who, of course,
Oh, wow.
Christy came in right before I left. No, right after I left. But I think she came into Toko's gym because she trained there too. And we had a talk, and I was fascinated because she had almost been murdered by her husband because she was gay, a lesbian.
Linda, let me interject here. So,
Yeah.
myself and Christy Martin, and to everybody out there, I'm not leaning in here. So, and I'm sure you can see in the background there, Linda. So, Christy Martin, again, I'm not sure if she was gay at the time. I don't know. Listen, I'm not anybody's. I don't care what you are, to be honest. But I interviewed her probably around 5 or 6 years ago now, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Listen to this, how crazy this is. If you don't know the story, it is wild. So her name's Christy Salters Martin now, but her name was Christy Martin, and she was she was like Jane Couch of the American market, and she was involved in Don King. Don King loved her fighting. Because she was just an animal, wasn't she, Linda?
Yes.
She was an absolute animal. I'm going to drop everybody out for 1 second because this has got to be said. She was honestly an animal fire. And anyway, her husband shot her and stabbed her downstairs.
Yes.
And then literally, it was that cold-blooded. This is crazy. Listen to this. This is insane. I'm going to go to the fans in a second, but tell me how mental this is. He shot her and stabbed her and then literally went, all right, see you in a bit, and walked up and had a shower. And left her for dead on the floor. It's mad. It's crazy. One of the most insane interviews I've ever done in my career.
Yeah.
And she said that she had to crawl out of the house because she knew that if he got out the shower,
He would kill her.
she's dead.
Yeah, he would kill
And
her.
she crawled out I mean, guys, everybody watching here, I can see in the background, how mad is this? She crawled out the house after being shot and stabbed by her husband.
Yes.
Just because he was jealous of her. I mean, listen, I'm going to actually bring everybody. I don't think Kerry speaks first. Listen, I'm going to bring you all back in here. How wild is that?
Dan, I just spent when I went to the World Stem Cell Summit, Christy came as an ambassador for Mauricio for the WBC.
Yeah.
So I found out that she fought on all the undercards.
Tyson, wasn't it? Loads of Tyson's fights.
Yes. So it was actually the first chance I had the pleasure of meeting her. But she is an awesome person.
Mhm.
She is an awesome person. She spoke at the summit, and she shared a little bit of her story of having when she broke her hand, she had a stroke on the table. So she's been dealing with just out of curiosity, because of what I've been doing in boxing, I asked her if she'd been having any signs of CTE,
Right.
and she informed me that she didn't know if it was a stroke.
What's CTE?
It's excuse me. It's basically a constant swelling of the brain.
Okay.
And it causes a lot of issues. It's what a lot of the NFL players have, what a lot of the boxers have. It's if you give me a minute, I'll tell you exactly what it's if you give me a minute, I'll think of it. But I wanted to know if she was having any signs.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, I had to
And
Google.
it's what 90% of the fighters are dealing with today, at some level. And so she wasn't sure if it was from the stroke or just from repeatedly being hit in the brain. But
So, is this kind of when people say people are punch drunk and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Is that
it's exactly
pretty much-
what it's exactly what it is. It's that
Whoa.
was the terminology then was punch drunk, but
Yeah. Wow.
it's CTE now. Yes.
I mean, listen, I feel like I get that loads when I've I get, and listen, I'm nowhere near as done as many rounds as the people out there.
Dan, it's one concussion.
That's why Becky's in trouble.
It can be caused by one concussion, and it happens very early. To most fighters, it happens in the amateurs.
Okay.
When the brain is still at an early state. So almost 90%.
So you're saying don't get kids into boxing is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, my grandson just played football for the first time this year, and the football players are getting it as much as the fighters and the bull riders and the hockey players. And so, but there's ways you can protect yourself. You know, I partnered with a company called Skulltex, and they make these devices that you can put under the helmet to protect the brain. So I make my grandson wear that.
What? Whoa! What, Dad? Whoa! Hold the phone. What do you mean, device to protect the brain? What's that?
It's a gel cushion that it cushions the blow or
on the inside of the head guard.
Brain. Yes. And,
how does that work, though?
I'll bring my guy on your show, Dan, and he can explain it better.
Okay,
but
so Lisa, sorry to interject here. So sorry to interject. Amazing if that's real, which I believe it is. Which I believe it is, and I'm absolutely taking you on board. So I'm talking about Becky. You still there?
Yeah, sorry, my phone went.
Cool. I'm going to speak to you a second. Right. So I know Paul's been there. Chris has probably been there. I'm not sure about Linda and yourself, Lisa. I always felt a punch a lot worse when I had a head guard. I don't know about you guys. When I don't have an head guard, I never really. You can get rocked and stuff, but
then it's
just hear me out 1 second. So the reverberation from the head guard that I used to have do you remember the blue green hill head guards? Do you ever remember them, guys?
Yeah.
Do you remember them, Chris? So I used to have a blue green hill. Everybody out there who's watching will probably know what a green hill. And tell me, fans out there who know what a green hill head guard is. I used to have a blue green hill head guard, lovely, cracking little thing. But whenever I got it was like, boom, you could feel it. But when I didn't wear it, I could ride it a lot. I never really got stung like that. Do you know what I mean? Paul, are you with me or not?
I am, yeah. No, I hate wearing head guards. Yeah, I hate it.
Okay. So maybe it's a question for you then. So do you feel, I mean, obviously I'd like to hear the science behind this, which we'll definitely do, but I'm going to talk about personal experience. So
don't chew my hair.
Do you feel like it's something that would be gel underneath your head guard? Do you feel would stop any trying to trauma to your brain? Because I'd find that hard, I believe.
until I've actually used it, I wouldn't know. I mean, you don't know how our body works. It's amazing what the brain can do, what things can do to support you. So I'd like to think it would work, but
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it, if you could?
It would, yeah, it would. But even the amateurs are stop wearing their guards now. So
at least it's to be absolutely clear. I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true. All I'm trying to think is if it is true, that's absolutely unreal, absolutely amazing, incredible.
Listen, the guy that owns the company, Tyson Fury, is using the device. And a couple other current athletes are wearing the device. So it's been proven to help.
Good.
But even if it's just 5%, Dan, it's 5% more protection.
Yeah.
Than if they wouldn't have it at all. You know. So I mean, it's a lot of things that contribute to making sure fighters aren't cutting weight and losing the fluid from around their brain. So there's a lot of things you can do to help. So what I've started doing is I've done a series of PSAs teaching safety in the ring. And I'll share those with you, Dan. But I have Muhammad Ali's daughter and the grandsons on the PSAs. I have the referee Tony Weeks.
Oh, I love Tony. He was on the show last week, Tony.
A manager from Mayweather's camp. So I've done a series of these PSAs, hoping to bring awareness to cut down on some of the injuries in the ring, and also to actually fight. I'm working with Bros Gracie and the Gracie Foundation to change some of the rules in boxing to make sure that there is a neurologist ringside, not just any physician.
I love that.
That it be a neurologist. So, and we're making strides. We're getting things done and making changes.
I love it. I absolutely love that. And obviously, considering the situation, right, guys, I'm gonna guys and girls, right. So we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua. This is going to be a final talking point of the evening because I'm not going to keep you for too much longer. So, Anthony Joshua, can he be world champion again? Starting with Linda.
I don't know.
I don't know why I asked you first because she said you already told me anything about him.
I don't know.
Let's just leave that a character building experience. We'll move on to Becky. Becky, can Anthony Joshua be world champion again?
I think there's a lot of good heavyweights coming up through at the minute. Not taking anything away from AJ, but I think he put there was an awful lot of pressure on it. I actually feel sorry for him because I feel like he was the heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? That everybody sort of had eyes on. And he had so much pressure on him to do well, and he's always got to do this, and he's got to be like, every boxer loses from time to time, you know. Trust me, I know. But like,
you're a machine, kid.
Thank you. I mean, he's a great guy, and I think he has got great talent. All depends. Yeah, it depends how he is as a person. I do feel like his head's gone a little bit. On the last couple of, I don't know him personally, so I don't know. But from what I've
it's a confidence thing, isn't it?
Well, I do feel like that, and I do. But then when I say about the pressure thing, like down to the bit where, you know, when he grabbed the mic and stuff after, and he was shouting it, like that's poor him. Do you know what I mean? Like that's his head there. And it's the pressure and the feeling that I don't think people understand, that, you know, the big AJ and he's the champ, and like there was so much pressure on him that if he failed, you know, I felt so sorry for him. So I believe, yes, if you've been a champion once, you can be a champion again. And I believe if you haven't been a champion, that you can become one. But it's all down to him, really. It's in his heart and in his head, really, that whether he can be strong enough. It's all very well being the physical strength. You need the inside strength to box as well. And I don't think people understand that as much. It's all about inside here, not just on your.
Well, if anybody does, you know about inside strength, kid.
Exactly.
Until I hit you with a body shot too, and you'd be like, "Oh, I wish I didn't have violence inside strength
You
anymore."
got to catch me first, man.
And my solar plexus. You better. You're going to be praying for that right hand. Right, Chris Harper is one of my top followers, mate. Question for you, mate. Can Anthony Joshua be world champion again?
I think he's got a lot of things to change if he is to be champion again. First and foremost, I think he needs to sort his training team out, and I think that'll help him with what appears to be a crisis of confidence. On top of that, the issue he's got is Usyk's only 32. He's the youngest out of the leading heavyweights, if you like. Guys like Wilder, Joe Joyce, if you want to throw him in there, they're 37 years old. Behind them, you've got Fury at 35. So, I mean, AJ's 32, a year older than Usyk. Usyk's definitely got AJ's number. So, if Usyk gets a hold of all the belts, I see it's quite difficult for Joshua to get back in the mix.
Love that. That's a really good way of... this is the reason why we've got the best boxing community in the world. No doubt about that. Paul Pierce, what are you saying?
I've got to agree with him there as well. It just depends. It depends when it is. I feel as though he's running out of time, and I don't think he's active enough. I've got to go with what Becky said as well. If he gets his head right, he can beat any of them. Joshua's got the ability to beat any of them. I mean, the only person that I don't see him ever beating is Fury. But yeah, I do believe he can. If he sorts all his things out, I do believe he can. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to go with this. This is actually going to be really fun, actually. I'm going to go to the fans. But whilst I do, I'm going to ask you all the questions in a second, every single one of you. And I'm going to ask you to tell, and especially this is going to be some really cool things here. I want you all to tell me a story that none of us know about you and boxing. Linda, Lisa, Becky, all of you. I want you to tell me about a story that people have never heard when it comes to you and boxing. But we'll just think about it, and we'll talk about it in a second. And I'll tell you mine, and we'll have fun. So let's go to the fans first of all. So while you have a think, here we go. Oh yeah, we just spoke to that guy earlier. Thomas Smith. Carl Froch is a legend of the world boxing, and so is Dan.
Oh,
love you.
Oh,
I just picked that randomly, by the way. I wasn't trying to back myself
yeah,
up.
whatever.
Leslie, I've got to agree, Chris. Regards, Froch. I think Froch probably does have a better. Actually, did Lee? For the record, I think that Froch does have a better resume than Anthony Joshua. Yeah. In my opinion, I do. Thomas Smith said Ruiz ended AJ. Corrales versus Castillo. We're talking about the
what
best
a
fight
fight! I literally, sorry to interrupt. I watched that fight like last night.
Oh wow! Tony Weeks was the referee for that fight. He was on the show last week.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. A fight I love to watch again and again. Love the comeback story. Oh, it's wicked. Chuvalo, great fighter. The best. Let's have a look. Here we go. Thomas Smith, Larry's jab's the best in boxing ever. Ever, if you ask me. Best chin, Hagler. So we're going with the whole what is it? Not Terminator. What's it called? Frankenstein. Best chin, Hagler or Big George Foreman. Best backhand, Hearns or Julian Jackson, maybe. Oh. I don't think Julian Jackson had the best backhand. I think he probably had the best left hook and the best timing of all time. But
I think Roy Jones's left hook was pretty awesome.
Is it above Tommy Morrison or Joe Frazier? Not
possibly
sure.
Possibly not. But he was crisp with it, and it was just
There's a reason why they call him Captain Hook.
What about a current boxer for a lead hook, Dan? The monster from Japan, Inoue. Lead hook. He always finishes every combination with a lead hook.
The thing is with Inoue, I don't think there's any one punch he's particularly fantastic in. I just think he's just fantastic in every single area.
Yeah,
he's got a good chin, good jab, right hand.
I watched the documentary about him. And his coach was talking about how every single combination that he works in training, he always finishes on a lead hook to the body or to the head. So he constantly drills it as a tactic.
I'll keep that in mind for when I'm knocking Becky out. I told her you got it coming to you, mate. I'm telling you. I love you. Right, Craig Lovey said Arturo Gatti for chin. Lennox Lewis for boxing brain. Okay. De La Hoya for left hook. Yeah, not bad. Larry Owens for jab, 100%. Sugar Ray Leonard for speed.
Nice.
Okay.
A
I'll
pretty
take
good
it.
boxer there, yeah.
Best boxing brain, Ray Leonard or Robinson. Best jab, Bob Foster. Bob Foster, that's an unusual one. I like that. Okay, so we went on to Spence and Crawford, didn't we? So the reason Spence is too big because you're struggling to do 147. Yeah, he is. And we were speaking to John Pegg. Did you see John Pegg earlier on, Becky?
I did indeed.
Sam Egginton's trainer. Fantastic cutsman. He's a good friend of mine. Great guy. He was talking about, it was me, him, and Ray Mancini, which is mad. But it was just us talking. We were proper going at it. And we were talking about how Spence is too big for 147 and how he's probably going to go up to fight Canelo Alvarez around 160, 163, something of that nature. Pretty cool conversation. Russell, Gerard, Crawford, 8 days a week. Completely agree. Summer Carroll, I think Crawford wins with late stoppage 9-10. I'm not sure if it's going to be any stoppage, but I think he wins.
Yeah.
Shell Pennington, Becky has come a long way in the last couple of years, Dan. I'd be scared if I were you.
Thanks, Shell. She knows. Paul's staying quiet as well.
Hey, Becky, I'm on your side.
Paul, you best have a word, mate. I thought Shell was on my side.
No, we are Becky Ferguson fans, though.
Team Firebomb, baby. Team Firebomb.
Yeah.
Wait till I'm my bomb, mate. To be on your backside. Lisa, you look like a Hollywood actress. Oh,
he does.
Lisa, love from Paul Driscoll. Love from that. Paul Driscoll said pugilistic dementia. Is that actually a real thing, Lisa?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
It's the same as CTE.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Is that the reason why I constantly walk in a room and think, why am I here?
Yeah.
Ace. Leslie Webb, would love to hear more about the head protection, Lisa. I think, yeah, absolutely. I know
I'll definitely introduce you to Bob from Skulltex.
Skulltex?
Yes.
I love that. Absolutely love it. Right, here we go. So I've got 5 guests here with me right now, and I want you. Remember, I always said I wanted a mad conversation that you had with someone in your life, or maybe even a story of your own that you've never heard before. I'm going to listen to all yours, and then I'm going to potentially give you mine if I can think of one. Linda Platt, starting with you, you've got to have one, considering who you are. Linda, talk us.
One of my favorite stories is I was at a New York boxing event, and I saw Muhammad Ali sitting at a table by himself. So I went over because it was my 20th year high school reunion. I needed a photo for my reunion book. So I thought, well, who better than to pose with Muhammad Ali? So I went over and he was sitting by himself.
Casual.
Pardon?
Just casual, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I went over and I said, Muhammad, I would really love a picture champ with you. And I explained what it was. And so he says, like, sit down. You know how he talked with that slow voice. And I sat down next to him, and he went head to head with me. You can see the picture on Facebook. And he said, now you got to tell everybody I'm your boyfriend. Well, I put that in the yearbook, and I got about 200 responses in no time. I just loved him. He was always clowning with me. He was just terrific.
Wow.
Yeah, God bless him.
Wow.
How do we compete with that then?
And I was literally about to say, like, how am I supposed to?
So basically, Muhammad Ali wanted to be my boyfriend. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I reckon because Becky's next up, I reckon it's going to be the highlight of her career is our knock to clean out.
It's yet to come now, isn't it? I don't really have the only thing that's going to pop into my head, which is really embarrassing for me, but I feel like if it's embarrassing for me, then I should share it. So,
the whole crowd.
to match like my manager trainer Scott Lawton will be absolutely fuming if he hears me say this. But anyway, never mind. So, I was Yeah, let it go. Oh god. Okay, I don't even know whether I'm going to say this or not, but I may as well. It's not even that exciting. But my highlight of one of my boxing careers so far is I went to fight Hannah Bagley a while ago, probably about a year ago, and we were at like this big warehouse centre. I can't for the life of me figure out where it was. I can't remember what it was called. Magna Centre, maybe. I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
But anyway,
in Barnsley.
I think so. It was up that way somewhere.
Magna Centre. Yeah, I've commentated there before.
Yeah, so there was a big warehouse there, and I was dead nervous. And I don't know about anybody else boxing before they fight, but you get like this feeling in your belly, like you're gonna poo or you're gonna wee.
Oh
so
no.
Anyway, so my hands are all wrapped up, my shorts are on, the gloves are on. Scott and Jason are like, right, Beck, so do you need to go to the toilet? I'm like, no, I'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, like before we went to go out, I had like this grumble in my stomach, and I swear, oh my god, I'm gonna poo, right? Scott's like completely against anything like that. So anybody talking about a woman pooing and farting and that, it's just like a no-go.
But
so
it's kind of understandable. We've all been there.
I turned to my other coach, Jason, just as I'm about to walk out. So bear in mind now, the ring announcer's like, yeah, and entering the ring like this. And I'm going, oh.
Entering the ring.
Just as my music started, I turned to my other coach, Jason, right? And I looked at him and I don't know what I'm going to do. And he went, what? I'm going to fart, you know. And I swear to God, thank God the music came on when it did, right? My walking music, Welcome to the Jungle it was. I remember it because I let off the most massive fart. And I'm not even joking. It was huge, right? But it was so good because I was stood right next to the speaker. So it was like, welcome to the, and it was like, just as it was happening. So Scott never heard it or anything.
Brilliant.
He just looked at me and just started laughing. And then after the fight, I actually won that fight. And after the fight, then I come back out and like they were laughing at me. I said, oh my God, you guys, I'm so glad I did that then. Because if she'd have punched me in the stomach, that noise, and because everyone was there for her, like it was silent in the audience, they would have heard that. Oh God. So it's not like Muhammad Ali's going to be my boyfriend, which I wish that he would have done, but there you go. I nearly pooed and farted just before there you go.
Okay, so we started with Muhammad Ali wanted to be my boyfriend, and then we've I nearly pooed
myself.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take that. Chris, I don't know if you've got one.
Not really, mate. I definitely don't have one to match Muhammad Ali or nearly shitting myself.
I will say it's quite a character-building experience.
Quite a high bar, but I really don't. I'll just pass on that one and pass it on to Paul if that's all the super you done.
Paul, you're up.
I'm honestly struggling to think. I can't compete with them two. I honestly can't.
I mean, how can you?
And you know, even thinking about like fun times or things that have happened, I can't get them two out my head. Especially
you know Muhammad Ali's. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
I mean, I've been where Becky's been, but I've had Shell to be there for me. So, you know, I've been saved.
How have we got to this?
I can't compete with them. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So, Lisa, have you had an experience?
Yes, I have.
People... Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh no!
This is a very special moment for me. In 1995, when Gerald got hurt, I had I put on a fundraiser dinner, and Joe Frazier came, and oh my God, he was here for. Well, we had the gala on a Friday night, so he was going to stay until probably Sunday, and 8 days later he was still here. So after a couple of nights in the hotel, because I'm a great cook, Dan. So
I don't believe it unless you make me something.
I will. So I cooked dinner a couple of times, and he wouldn't go home. He stayed here for 8 days, but I heard stories in those 8 days. I shared some of the most wonderful stories with him that he shared with me about boxing. I heard a lot of the stories with him and Ali. So it was an honor to have him here. He stayed at the house with me and Gerald for 8 days.
Wow.
So it was a pleasure having him here. So
Amazing.
that's been my highlight of boxing.
I'm in awe of these two ladies, Dan, that you have on here, you know. Lisa and Linda,
Amazing.
honestly, wow.
Thank you. Linda's a good friend of mine too. Linda and I talk a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Sometimes
What
to the
women,
wee hours.
honestly.
Sometimes to the wee hours of the morning. Dan, she's a
And
great
she's
lady.
doing great work for boxing, not just for her brother. Just,
Absolutely.
you know, the inventions and things that are coming out are absolutely amazing.
It is amazing.
She's
Stem
an
cell
amazing
research.
lady, and she takes care of her grandkids, grows her own vegetables. Unbelievable.
She's
Dude.
beautiful as well.
She's
Why the
gorgeous.
hell did that end up with
Gorgeous.
growing her own vegetables? I mean, what's that got to do with anything?
I have
It's
She's
vital.
amazing.
It's
She does
vital.
great things, research
No.
and brain things, and she grows her own carrots.
Dan, I have my.
I mean, what the bloody hell's that got to do with anything,
No,
Linda?
let me
They're
tell you why.
organic.
I'll tell you why she said that, Dan. Because I spend about 8 to 10 hours a day, and sometimes because of everything I have going on with Gerald and the Ringer Brotherhood,
Okay.
so Gerald had his colon removed like 8 years ago, and so I started buying organic food just so we could eat healthier.
Okay.
And it got to be, it was really expensive. So
Okay.
I grow my own vegetables.
Well,
That's good.
I'm happy, really happy you put some context in this conversation.
Yeah, so I spend a lot of time, but it's also a very peaceful place for me to go to.
Yeah.
In
Considering the
my
stress
garden.
and
Yes,
yeah.
Unless there's snakes or squirrels.
right. A squirrel.
Are you
I
okay,
had to
Paul?
run in with a squirrel this morning while I was on the phone with Paul.
I was on video call to Lisa earlier.
Lisa,
And,
can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
If you don't mind me asking, I can't imagine how hard it must be because G-Man was a monster. I mean, he was a bloody monster. Like, he was one of the biggest punchers, pound for pound, of all time. He was a beast. He's a beast in his prime. I mean, how hard was it to see that demise?
He still is a very hard puncher. Yeah.
Well, how hard was it to see of everything what happened with the brain injury and to see him go to a shell of himself? It must be so bloody hard.
It was hard in the beginning. Just the whole thing was life changing. But today and
okay,
it's our normal life, Dan. I don't see it as he's a normal person to me now.
Yeah.
Or this situation is normal. So I don't look at it as if I don't make the comparison. You know what I'm saying?
It's no burden. It's just what you used to. It's all you know.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Bless you.
Yep.
Lisa, I can just want to say from my end, what a hero you are.
Thank you.
Absolute hero. And make sure everybody watching ringofbrotherhoodfoundation.org to donate and support the future of fighters' lives. Please make sure you jump on there and donate.
We have some great things coming to help the future of boxing. And it's been a pleasure to partner with the WBC because that opened the door for people to know who we are and what we're doing. And then to have the support of the WBC, it kind of solidifies everything that I'm doing.
They get so much crap though, don't they? They really do get so much crap.
Let me tell you something.
I'm talking about bad press, to be clear.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about. I have an instant connection to Mr. Suleiman. And I've asked for many things for many fighters. And I've yet to be told no from him. I've called him while he was traveling and say, hey, I got a fighter that needs help.
Is this Mauricio?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm not gonna say I don't pay attention to the bad things because the relationship that I have with him
I love that guy.
and everything that he does for the fighters in need. I'm not gonna say that stuff don't matter. I just don't pay attention to it because he's been great to us. He's been great to the guys that need help. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. But he does a lot for the sport. And for him to partner with my organization, Dan, is huge.
Massively.
When I first started this
I'll
2
never
years,
forget what they've done for me, the WBC. I'm absolutely 100% with you. But please carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
that's okay. When I first started my organization 3 years ago, because of the help that I had received from Mauricio in the WBC, I didn't want him to think I was launching an attack on boxing. So I did a presentation for him. And he was so blown away with what I was trying to do. He gave me the money to start my organization.
You're kidding me?
So, yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely mint. Yeah. The WBC is so great. It's so generous. I mean,
and I'm very protective
people...
of him too, Dan. Very, very
protective. Listen to this. Listen to this. So you know I'm on the same page as you are. So I started with. So I used to be a fighter many years ago. I was a light heavyweight. I was a good puncher. I was a really good kid. And unfortunately, I broke my shoulder and collarbone, and I couldn't fight anymore, which devastated me, and it's horrendous. And I thought, right, I love boxing, so I'm going to go in. This is 15, 16 years ago. I'm going to go to media, and I opened my first. We're talking about things that people don't know, and I started something called Fight Forum, and I had 48. I think it's 48 or 50 followers. 50. That's it. And because it's me and Shell over, bless your little heart, you know me, and Paul and Becky, you know where I'm like. I don't know. I reach for the stars and just let's go perform the clouds. You know me, guys, don't you? And
absolutely.
I messaged the WBC and I said, could you please just share my page on the WBC? I was 40, 50. And they did. They shared my little Fight Forum thing on my page. And since then, me and Mauricio he's been on my show, and it'll stay with me forever, really. But Mauricio, my first interview with Mauricio, I had COVID for the first time. And I was really ill, Lisa. I was really ill, but I was like, ain't no way am I going to give up an interview with the president of the WBC. I don't care what COVID I've got. I don't care if I've got bloody anything. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even going to say it, but I was like, and I did. I was like, do you know? And I still did it. And to this day, it's incredible the things that they're doing. And they take too much rap. They're too much bad press from the belts that they do, which I completely understand. And Mauricio said to me, the reason why they do these random belts is because it's commemorative, the one-off belts. But people just, and you can see that, Lisa. Yeah, you can appreciate what I'm saying here. It's just, it's not right. It's really not right.
But guys, what I've learned, Dan, let me say this quick. What I've learned in the last 28 years, and I don't know if this is in other sports, but you can post something really good on social media about boxing and you'll get 10 or 15 shares. If you post something really negative, you'll get 100,000 shares.
Lisa,
and I don't know why that is.
I love you, but that's not what I'm about. If I do something positive, you best believe there's going to be about bloody billion watching it. Guaranteed. Do you know how many people we reached last month? 30 million.
Wow.
And do you think how many negative things do you think I do? Do I look like a negative person?
No, I actually follow you from Paul's page, Dan. I've seen you on
Paul, not Paul Pierce.
Weight loss journey.
Come on, Dan. Give me some credit.
This is what Becky's missing. This. I'm gonna wait there. I'm gonna drop in here, and Becky and me and Lisa are gonna have a one-on-one conversation. This is what she doesn't understand. This is why she's underestimated me, because I've got hands like thunder. Like speed. She's gonna be begging me for that right hand, Lisa.
Well, I'd love to see it. So make sure you guys record it.
We should. Not
Lisa,
should. We
just
are
love to see it.
absolutely 100. Are you in a Southpaw, aren't you?
I am.
Oh, you're getting smashed.
Oh,
she's getting smashed. My biggest punch is right hand, left hook. You're gonna be sitting down like a park bench, kid. Boom.
Well,
Bam.
I can't wait to see it.
I was gonna say I might just stand there and let you punch me and just see how I can take them. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I'd highly recommend not to do that.
Nice.
As mates to mates. Just saying, Lisa. What are you saying, Lisa? Who thinks can win? In fact, let's bring everybody else in. Linda, Paul, Chris Harper. So
no
this is gonna happen.
disrespect, Dan.
We're gonna have small. We're gonna have one round, just one 2-minute round.
1 2-minute round.
I think
actually,
no,
I can't do 2-minute round.
3-minute round.
I can't do anything. I don't want to take my time. We've got 1 3-minute round.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
I've seen some of the best work in boxing done by women.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to put my money on the fire.
Can you see my eyes? Okay. So Lisa's saying firebomb. What are you saying, Chris?
What I'm saying is there's two boxers here. Well, loosely, we'll say there's 2 boxers here. One of them's won the fight of the year. So my money's on Becky.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, it's 2-0. Paul?
Oh, I'm sticking with Becky. I've got to stick with Becky. I love you, Dan, but I'm trying to go
right now. Linda, are you gonna like bring me from the depths?
Please sweep it. Please sweep it.
I just love everybody on this.
Oh,
Yes. I'm having such a great time, and all of you are so knowledgeable. This is great.
Oh.
Seriously.
You are
Same
so
here.
cute, I swear to God.
So
Oh my God, you are so cute.
basically,
Matt Harris
she's saying
just
she
give us a
picked
thumbs
me
up.
there.
I'm hoping that's the same Matt Harris from the British Boxing Border Control, by the way. I would have thought it would be, considering
Matt Harris. Woo woo.
who had a fantastic show earlier on. Paul Driscoll said, President Mr. Mauricio Solomon is a class act and a legend himself. Shel Pennington said, not enough attention is brought to that side of it for the WBC. They help so many fighters out there. They really do. Like they really do.
Just on that, Dan, I'm just gonna say something here. And the WBC do help everybody. The WBC helped me last year. Was it last year, Lisa?
Yeah.
The WBC helped me. I won't say how, but they helped me last year, and I'm just little old me. So they do help anybody that needs it.
I love you. I don't care what he helped you with. I'm just happy he helped you. But if we're going back to the main event, so when are me and you sparring, Becky?
Well, I'm
I think this should go live.
Listen, you probably need a bit of a camp. Do you know what I mean? Like you probably need at least 8 to 10 weeks.
No, I was gonna say, well, I've got half an hour free. No,
She is so underestimating the smoke from Stoke.
The smoke.
I like that.
She's gonna be like, she's gonna throw that stupid little right arm, little jab.
Smoky Stoke.
You'd be like,
I just love how excited you are.
I'm going to get absolutely levered. Absolutely levered. It's not like I've not got a small. It's not like I've got a small body to it. Do you know what I mean? Just saying. It's gonna be so fun. It'd be a brilliant video. It'd be a brilliant video.
It will be.
Just make sure you got paramedics there, just in case.
For sure.
Just get clean. Guys, I just want to say to every single one of you, I've really enjoyed this. It was absolutely an experimental show because, as you well know, this isn't really. We've gone on way longer than we should have, by the way, like 2 hours. I've really enjoyed, the conversation. I really, really appreciate it. Next week we've got Shabazz Massoud, who's a fantastic fighter from our neck of the woods, actually. Who was actually an amateur in the same gym as me when I was younger, and that's what Becky does. Because she thinks I can't fight.
Oh, I take it back now. Now I don't want to spar.
Tough shit. But the thing is, I can't say shit now because it's 11:15, so tough. You get smashed. We'll see what a
Oh, I'm-
firebomb is when you're
I'm
like,
so scared. I'm so scared.
fight of the year. Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for every single one of you for joining. Congratulations, massive congratulations to you, Becky, for winning
Thank
Fight
you.
of the Year.
Yes,
Linda, what a
congratulations.
brain you have
Very
when it
much.
comes to boxing. Lisa, again, follow Ring of Brotherhood Foundation.org to donate and support the future of fighters, and incredible. Chris, I just want to thank you for just following the channel, mate, and the things you're doing up and and helping supporting fighters up in Scotland. I really can't thank you enough, guys. We should do this again. I'm not going to make it every week. Oh, I'm definitely not. But
invite me back. I'd love to come back.
You won't want to come back when I
And
smash
it was
it.
a pleasure. Can I just say it was a pleasure to meet Lisa and Linda as well, and Chris.
You too. Same to
but
you,
honestly,
Becky.
What two amazing women, honestly, and I feel honored to have been able to be in. So thank you.
I shut her up then for a minute.
Same to you, Becky.
Yeah.
I'll be watching
Dan.
out for you. I'll be watching out for you now, Becky.
Oh, thank you very much, Lisa.
The thing is with Becky, Lisa, she's just game. She's really game, and she's tough, and she's a lovely lady. She really, really is. As I say to every single person around the world, thank you so much for tuning in. I love to do this, and I really appreciate everybody watching, sharing, liking, and I massively appreciate. I know you can all hear me, and you can all talk. They can't see it, but they can hear you. Thank you so much, guys. Every single one of you for joining the show tonight.
Thank you.
Dan.
Love you, Dan.
It was
Thanks, Dan.
wonderful.
Take
Love
care.
you, Dan. Great
Love you all
show.
too. See you next week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.